In 2009, Nokia was the world's largest mobile phone maker, more than 40% of the global market. But by 2013, they were gone from the game. Why? It wasn't just about hardware or software. They simply didn't have the strategic competencies to adapt fast. In contrast, Apple, with far fewer product lines, had mastered user-centric innovation, a leadership competency baked into their DNA. One company failed to pivot, the other redefined the game. In a world where change is the only constant, competency frameworks are what help businesses anticipate, align, and accelerate. Let's dive into why your organizations can't afford to ignore it. So let's unpack the foundation. What exactly do we mean when we say competency, and how is it different from a skill? At its core, a competency is a combination of knowledge, skills, and behaviors that enable performance. But here's what's important. Competencies are contextual. They describe not just what someone can do, but how they apply it to solve real-world problems. Here's a quick comparison. A skill can use Excel functions. A competency can use Excel to analyze Q2 revenue trends, identify bottlenecks, and influence leadership decisions. Think of competencies as skills with intent, alignment, and impact, and they are not new. The US Army introduced the first formal competency model back in the 1970s to standardize leadership across unpredictable combat scenarios. Now that we have defined what a competency is, let's look at why organizing them into a framework changes the game for business leaders and HR professionals alike. A competency framework is a structured map that outlines what competencies are needed for each role in the organization. According to the Harvard Business Review, companies with strong competency framework reduce role ambiguity by up to 67%, leading to clearer expectations, better performance, and higher retention. But most importantly, it drives alignment. Here are 3 strategic advantages. 1. Strategic hiring. You don't just hire for what looks good on paper, you hire for what aligns with your business direction. 2. Targeted development. Your L&D team no longer shoots in the dark. Training is designed to close real, mapped skill gaps. 3. Succession planning. When roles shift, you already know who's ready because their competencies have been tracked over time. Let's be honest, without a framework, even your star performers might be growing in the wrong direction. But the impact of competency framework doesn't stop at individual role or department. It transforms the way HR operates at a strategic level. Competency frameworks don't just help HR, they transform it. HR moves from being reactive and administrative to being strategic and proactive. Take IBM for example. When they shifted from hardware to cloud and AI, their leadership team used competency-based upskilling to reorient over 100,000 employees without mass layoffs. They called it skill currency. They tracked it through digital badges linked to competencies. Here's how HR evolves. Recruitment becomes framework-based, making hiring more aligned. Performance management links directly to observable behaviors. Training becomes measurable with real ROI. In short, competency frameworks enable evidence-based HR. Now let's make it even more concrete by looking at how a global brand like Unilever embeds competencies into its leadership development and reaps real results. Let's revisit Nokia, but let's contrast them with Unilever. Unilever doesn't just list competencies, they build their entire leadership development around them. Every Unilever manager is mapped on 4 core areas: consumer love, business acumen, agility, and purposeful leadership. These aren't fluffy words, they are linked to business metrics. And that's why Unilever ranks in the top 10 in Universum's global employment ranking year after year. It's stories like these that prove competency frameworks aren't just theories. They are a tested, tangible way to future-proof your business. Competency frameworks are not a nice to have. They are your organization's performance blueprint. They ensure that everyone, from a first-day associate to a division head, is growing in the direction the business needs. In our next video, we break down the different type of competencies. These are core, functional, and leadership, and why you need all 3 in your framework. If you found this valuable, like and follow the channel. And if you are building a competency strategy, you are exactly who I want to talk to. Thank you.